Having regular meetings during leading up to trial can actually make trial prep easier and more efficient. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. If you don't know me, I'm Catherine, the resourceful lawyer, and I help lawyers design and build more efficient and profitable law firms. I have not met very many people who actually like meetings. Most often, when people hear meeting, they think waste of time, boring. I could be doing so many other things right now, especially during trial prep. Those aren't the meetings I'm talking about. Instead, I'm going to borrow from Agile project management, where frequent, usually daily meetings called huddles or scrums or stand-ups are just standard procedure. And whatever you call them, they really lend themselves well to getting ready for trial. And in this video, I refer to them as stand-ups because I want you to think about them as something really different from the meetings you might already be thinking about in your head. So what is a stand-up? Well, the reason why it's called a stand-up is because it is a short meeting. It's so short that you don't even sit down. In fact, I find that having people stand up during the meeting, it really keeps everybody focused. And especially as lawyers, we like to give a lot of explanation, but we want to keep these meetings really, really short. I'll talk about that in a minute. But so standing up is a nonverbal cue to everyone in the room that this is supposed to be a brief, short meeting, and I shouldn't talk for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. As a trial attorney, daily stand up or frequent stand ups help you keep tabs on all the different things that are getting done, see where people are on their tasks, and also identify and address any issues that come up proactively. And, that really helps with the interruptions down later in the day because either people have had their questions answered at the stand up, or they know they're going to have another chance the next day to ask that question or bring that issue up. So they don't necessarily come knocking on your door and interrupting whatever you might be doing. At their best, stand-ups help attorneys see and everyone involved in the trial prep to find that balance between managing the work and doing the work. But there are three basic ground rules. Ground rule number one, keep them short. They should be no more than 15 minutes. And if you have too big of a team to get it done in 15 minutes, then maybe you consider having micro mini stand-ups for different teams or different sub-teams or subgroups. If you've got one person working on the trial tech, maybe you have that team have their own stand-up, things like that. So there are somebody's working on exhibits or the exhibit list, might need to have their own status meeting, stand-up meeting, and then they can report to you, or you can attend stand-up as well. The second ground rule for stand-ups is that they happen at the same time on the same day or days and they are never rescheduled. That way everyone knows that is their dedicated time. It's only 15 minutes and they know to keep that time free. The third ground rule is that attendance is mandatory. And this is because the benefit of a stand-up is communication to everyone on the team and the quick response to different issues that might come up. And if people are waiting on other people, they know exactly what work needs to get done. And you as the lead attorney, you have one meeting that addresses a lot of different things and allows you to know exactly what's going on. Well, if only some of your team shows up, you're not going to get the full picture, and your team members aren't going to get a full picture either. So it's really important that everyone be there every single time. One question I get asked all the time by lawyers who are thinking about doing stand-ups, and it's a natural question, is how often should I have a stand-up meeting? Well, in the software development world, which is where the agile project management and stand-ups, scrums, huddles, where those concepts grew out of, they have them daily. And you might be thinking, there's no way I can have a daily stand up and expect my whole team to show up. Remember that it is only 15 minutes if you do them well, but you're probably right. It really depends on a few things. First of all, how urgent is the work? So if you've got deadlines that are distant in the future, then maybe you don't need to, have daily tabs on what's getting done. But you might find that as you're getting closer to trial and there's so many different things that need to get done and so many things that are waiting on other people. So, maybe the exhibits are being prepared by one person, but they need the final exhibit list so that they can make sure they've included everything and bound it and do all the tagged it for the court, whatever, all those things that need to get done. And witness exams and witness prep and voir dire and jury instructions. And there's so many things that tend to be due all at the same time when you're leading up to trial. And so there's so many things going on, and that is an ideal time to start having daily stand-ups. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it really just gives you a snapshot of where all these different things are. And again, it also keeps people focused on what they're doing, and also and helps them know that if they have a question for you, maybe it can wait until the next stand up instead of coming to your door, 10 people coming to your door throughout the day asking questions that come up and interrupting your work. So maybe earlier on, 100 days out from trial, your frequency could be a little more spaced out, maybe even weekly. You're just kind of getting a handle on some issues that come up, or deposition, transcripts, or taking depositions, scheduling them, whatever's coming up in that first, about 100 days out, where things are out there. There are deadlines, but there's nothing super super urgent. And then as things become more urgent and more stuff starts happening, more stuff needs to get done, then I actually think that more frequent stand-ups are really helpful. One thing is to be mindful about the frequency. For example, if you've got nothing terribly urgent, maybe you're just starting on witness exams, and it's still 60 days out from trial, and so isn't anything pressing that needs to get addressed right away. If you're trying to push daily stand-ups on your team at that point, I think it's going to turn a lot of people off, so that it makes it harder down the road to get engagement and participation when you actually do need daily stand-ups, or when they would provide the most benefit. So keep that in mind. You don't want to burn out your team on stand-ups. On the other hand, it can be really helpful to start introducing the concept and getting people used to it. And I think eventually they'll see the benefits of it. Or not even eventually. I think it's pretty clear. It's just a matter of getting everybody used to them, and what they're for, what they're not for. And as a lead attorney, you also know exactly what's going on at all times and in real time, which is great. Whatever frequency works for your trial team, it's also really important to be able to capture the key information from a stand up and then share it out to the team. And there are a few ways you can do this. The first way is the traditional jotting down notes as the meeting is going on, as the stand up is happening. The only thing I caution about that is that you're not trying to make detailed minutes. So you don't want to jot down detailed notes. You just want to capture, the status, or maybe a quick question that someone has that you want to address either in the 16th minute or just to the group before everyone leaves, if it's a more general question, and you haven't addressed it right there in time. So there's just a record of in real time of what's happening. The important thing to remember is that the focus is on listening to each other, not on capturing those every single thing that everybody says and every single status of everything. Of course, status is one of the main benefits of having a stand-up, is being able to really know what's going on and exactly where we are in the process. So you do want to capture that information somewhere. And I recommend using some sort of visual tool. If you have a conference room, a war room, if there's a whiteboard in there, great. You can put things right on the whiteboard. And then if you have, or you can use sticky notes either on the whiteboard or on a wall. Probably not in your office, because you want people to be able to update it in real time. So if they, after the stand up later that day, they finish whatever task they were working on, they might move that sticky note or mark that off, and they'll mark it off on the whiteboard that it's actually been done. So again, they call this in project management radiators, information radiators, and the low tech, the better, really, because they're simple and they're easily accessible to everyone. That being said, we all work hybrid these days, and so it really helps to have another visual tool. I think if you've been on my channel at all, I'm a big fan of ClickUp, and ClickUp has what's called a board view. And you can learn about Kanban boards, which I think are another great way to track the progress of things, because they're very visual. It's cards, they go across the screen, you have columns. You can even have swim lanes. I have a mock-up I'm going to bring up right now. That's my ClickUp view, where I have, and you can see I have swim lanes. So by who's responsible for what. So I can see exactly who's doing what, where they are on that task. And then it also fosters communication, because they can communicate within that task. If they have a question for me or anyone else, they can simply tag that person in the comments, and ClickUp anyway, and then that person can respond when they need when they process their comments in the system that they're using. I hope I've convinced you that having short, regular meetings like stand-ups can actually help you prep for trial. It encourages communication, it encourages collaboration, it enhances the workflow and the flow of information, and it really keeps everyone on track and focused on what needs to get done. And it helps you set priorities and manage the workload. If someone else is not getting just isn't able to get to what they have on their list, and you might reach out for help with among the team, or maybe even in your law firm or a freelance lawyer or someone else to come in and help you do that. So it really, it just, I think the real key is the communication and the visual representation. That's so helpful because you want to keep everyone on the same page, make sure everything gets done so that you are prepared to walk into that courtroom ready to impress the judge, the jury, and of course your client. So if you're ready to get started with stand-ups, check out my quick start guide to stand-ups, and you can find the link in the video description. And of course, if you have any questions about legal project management, stand-ups, or any other topic, please reach out to hello@theresourcefullawyer.com and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.